Welcome to Starting With Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos. And this is a show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Today is definitely going to be a rough show. I am super sick. And I do mean super sick. I have a mystery flu thing. And truth be told, I'm hoping it's not corona. Yeah, I forgot. I can't say that word on YouTube. We'll just say the C virus. Hopefully it's not the C virus. Yeah. If it's the C virus, then yeah, I'm in trouble. But when they did the little test swab thing on me, they're like, you have flu-like symptoms with some, but it's not influenza. So there you go. If I did get the C virus, my bet is I more than likely picked it up from my PlayStation controller. I ordered a new PlayStation controller off Amazon instead of following my gut and buying it just from, Target and eating the $50. I tried to save some money and get a PlayStation controller for $35, and it was a limited edition sort of clearish see-through controller. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a local distributor that was sending it to me, and lo and behold, it came from China. Now note, when I did get it, I made a solution of alcohol and peroxide and wiped down my controller, wiped down the box, wiped down my hands, wiped down almost everything I possibly could before I plugged it up to charge it. But you can be careful and still bad things can happen to you. 'Tis life, So, yeah. Get your food, get your 2 weeks or 3 weeks of food, stock up. I got some beans and stuff because, according to my job, according to the nurse, if my temperature stays up, I'll have to miss work for another day. So, yeah. Stuff out in these streets is real. Get your food, get what you need. I follow my stocks. The C virus has messed with my money. I've lost like 10% in the last few days just because of the C virus, but supply chains, people don't understand. Supply chains, they're very fragile, and they're built to optimize having as little inventory as possible while maximizing profits, because inventory space means stuff that you're not selling. It's property that you're being taxed on. So, yeah. All right, so there's a couple things we're going to get into today. The first is my X-Men build. And the second is sort of the state of the meta after looking at the WKOs going into states. And so this is going to be more of me being general, not me being specific. And what I mean by specific, I'm not going to be like, hey, these 5 builds are the builds. Okay, I'm going to point to specific themes that I see that are good. All right, so with my X-Men build, and just for note, for a lot in WKO, I played X-Men. For Dallas, Frisco area, Dots Comics and Games, I played Black Panther. So I'll break down both of those builds. First with X-Men. X-Men is Double Dark Phoenix. You're going to notice that trend. Double Dark Phoenix. Cyclops Sentinel. Blackbird. Fast Forces, Jubilee. Prime Storm at 25. two Moria McTaggarts, the Pim Pocket Tank, Storm, the Storm ID wanted poster with Asgardian Storm, Cyclops ID with Cyclops, super rare Cyclops, the what was it? Phoenix, the Rachel Summers ID with Phoenix at 20, and there was something else. I know there was like some more IDs on there. Anyway, oh, Magneto. I think I had Magneto. Yeah, Magneto wanted poster. Yeah. So the main setup with this is that I'm a +8. I'm winning map. I think I won map all day except against Caleb Reddick in top 4. And functionally, I can just... No, come to think it. No, I think I won map against him too. And I took him to something keep or whatever. No, Ancient Hold. Nope, I took him to Ancient Hold. That's where we played at. Anyway, so the big thing with this map, the big thing with this team is you go first. I had the Batarang. I forgot I had the Batarang. You put the Batarang on Jubilee. Okay, so there's a couple of key elements with this team and why it works the way it works. So I'm going to break down the key parts. First off, you're trying to sidestep up with the Dark Phoenixes. So that on turn 2, you pop out Rachel Summers and Bob's your uncle. You're going to run a shot across the map and you're going to hit most things. The other reason this sort of works out the way it does is that, again, you sidestep up and then you call out Phoenix to go yeet their objects. I don't like that ruling that I can make a range combat, a range object attack with no target. I think that's the stupidest thing. I think they just need to go back through and just say, no, this is not a thing. Because it doesn't make sense. If that was the case, then just allow me to just destroy the object. Stop making the objects indestructible. Just say, screw it, you can destroy the objects, all right? Because any way it goes, if I can just yeet them, then even if it's indestructible, it doesn't do you any good for it to be indestructible because people are just going to find a way to destroy it. So just make all the objects destructible. Okay? So anyway, needless to say, so you sidestep Dark Phoenix up. And then you call in Phoenix. Phoenix TK yeets stuff. Yeets objects, and it's magical. Okay. Now, at the other end, you have Cyclops Sentinel, and Cyclops Sentinel is by far one of the most underrated X-Men / meta pieces right now. And I will say that Cyclops Sentinel is a meta piece. For a couple of reasons. Number one, you're able to run, at 50 points, you're able to run a shot Psychic Blast, and then do an additional 1 damage after actions resolve. Additional 1 penetrating damage after actions resolve. So it's like, oh, I knocked you to stop? Screw you, you're taking 1 more. And so this can really hurt teams that are very, very dependent on stop clicks. I would definitely argue that Cyclops Sentinel is great. Also, I hate to say this, a lot of people, in spite of being able to look at Cyclops Sentinel's card, do not kill Cyclops Sentinel. They hit him for 3 or 2 or 1, and then I will always drop his head. And in that process, I I will get a 12 attack, 4 damage, psychic blast, like the entire rest of the game. And I'll have people be like, well, I'm going to Colossal Retaliate on your Cyclops Sentinel head. While the Cyclops Sentinel is still alive, I'm like, okay, go ahead. So they'll hit, and I'm like, did you crit hit? No. Okay, well, it's still alive. And they're like, what? And I'm like, here, you can read it. And they're like, well, that was a waste of time. And I'm like, yes, it was. So, Cyclops Sentinel head is very, very threatening. It just is. It's very threatening. Now, some of my teammates would argue that I need to be like more aggressive with the IDs. Oh, I had a Wolverine ID. I know I had a Wolverine ID. Yeah. I had a Wolverine ID with the 001 Wolverine from XDPS and also the Super Rare Wolverine. All right, so a lot of folks will say like, hey, Edward, what is the Blackbird doing? And truth be told, the Blackbird, and I had a Joker ID. Yeah, so the team lacks onboard prob. So what you're doing is you're trying to get Joker out. You're trying to real boy Joker out and then reset. If you roll a 3 or higher, you're winning, which is 2/3 of the rolls in your favor, okay? And with Joker running around, you have a couple of advantages. Advantage number 1, you now have an onboard prop, okay? Advantage number 2, people are really not like apt to go and mess with Joker, okay? You also have his smoke cloud, which is very, very useful, okay? So overall, like Joker, getting Joker out early is great. And I know a lot of people say, well, why don't I just try to get Cyclops out there as soon as possible? You can do that, but the chances of your jet automatically living that long is it's sort of rough. It all depends on the matchup. So, some people would be like, well, hey, man, was Jubilee worth it? And I would say Jubilee is sort of worth it. And I'll break it down why. Jubilee creates a situation, in my opinion, where the Wendigo meta is somewhat taking a minor step, has to take a minor step back. The only Colossal Retaliator that does not care about, what's going down is Tri-Sentinel because it's pulse waving. That's the only one that does not care about Jubilee. Everybody else sort of has to pay attention to Jubilee. Now, the other problem I found when people go against Jubilee, even though Jubilee is giving my team shape change, they just won't go kill Jubilee. She's like 3 clicks deep. I don't know why. They just won't. So that's something to think about. Now, going back, like Cyclops ID on this team is actually a lot stronger than what I played it, because anytime any of your characters take damage, Cyclops could just pop off again. So there is a point in value of having Cyclops ID and then calling in the super rare Cyclops just to go and train wreck people like really bad. And it's just something else to think about. Moira's doing Moira's thing, so that's nothing new. So overall, I would argue the problem with X-Men right now, even with this new influx of pieces, they don't have a direction. They don't have an element that really brings them together. Or at least a theme that ties these, 3 X-Men sets together so that you can build something. If X-Men are I hate to say it, the ID centric team, then there ought to be something else going on with them, like bonuses for inspirations, bonuses for the Blackbird being there, bonuses for Professor X being there, like stuff, little stuff that just needs to be applied and figured out. Even if you made a 50-point Professor X with a 10 attack mind control, and he just said like every character with the X-Men, X Factor, X Force, or New Mutants keywords gain +1 attack while Professor X is on the board. That would be useful. Okay. Have like 2 move, 10 square mind control, 17 defense, willpower, 0 damage. There you go. Unique. There you go. And now you have something to look at, something to move your characters towards. All right, so let's talk about my Black Panther build. And my Black Panther build performed a lot better than I thought. And my main thought with the Black Panther build was, having played Panther in the past, he's always needed that backup. And I never really felt that I had the backup I needed until the Dark Phoenixes. So you got Cosmic Panther. And looking back, I would make the argument, if you think this is something cool, you don't need to be on theme. Your theme bonus is too low for it to be worthwhile in the current meta. So Dark Phoenix, Black Panther, Mr. Oz, the Living Spirits Will Guide Us, Wakanda map bonus, Remaker ring, Nightbringer ring, Rachel Summers ID, Storm ID, Cyclops ID, Beast ID, Iceman ID. Now, and for Storm, I have Asgardian Storm, and I also have Prime Storm. And the big thing with Prime Storm is your Q killer. Like, that is it. Like, oh, there's Q. Give him the fart. Give him the gust of wind fart. Knock that little bastard back. It's to the point where if you see Q, I think the Storm IDs become mandatory because just pure fact, if you see a Q, you're gonna pop Storm and then knock the cube into a corner. That's it. It's that simple. It is that simple. And I think that when we're trying to make it more complicated, or that the thought process is you always have to use Asgardian Storm, I think that's a misnomer. I think that's a bad play. I think that Prime Q causes way too many problems overall, that you cannot ignore his impact on the game. So, going back, the Dark Phoenixes are there for that threat. Now, in all honesty, could I, really just need one? Yeah, looking back at it now, yeah, I could downgrade one Dark Phoenix, replace it with something else. And I know some people say, well, just replace it with Q. And then that's what my teammate said. And I'm like, yeah, you could. If you wanted to. Definitely when it starts coming into the super senses. So what is the big deal about this team? And why did it have a certain level of success? And like, I got 9th place, so I didn't I missed the break by 20 points. So it's because of certain pros and cons of the team. The pro of the team is your rollouts are ridiculous. Definitely on first click. Like, you're doing your best to live on first click and pray to God they don't, that if they do damage to you, you land on third click because you get your impervious back. So you're going shape change, super senses, impervious, and prob. Okay, so you functionally have all the rollouts at this stage. You have shape change, you have prob, you have impervious, you have super senses. You are as defensively in your protected pulse wave. You're as defensively stacked as you possibly can be. Okay? Now, I know some of you would say it's like, okay, yeah, but what about the Nightbringer ring? The Nightbringer ring is just to make sure that you don't get Cyclopsed for 6. Okay? So, when you start to understand that, but you're trying not to get Cyclops for 6, that it's like, oh, okay, now I understand why. At the same time, you need to watch your matchups and make sure that you need to know like which ring is actually going to do you the most good, starting off. I went against a double astronomer team. I messed up and I equipped Nightbringer. Well, duh, astronomer sees through stealth. I should have, picked up Remaker first. Now, did my opponent capitalize on that? No. Mainly because Dark Phoenix came into play too quickly. But that was a factor in the game. Is like, look, I messed up. I equipped the wrong ring first. So you need to know, like, does your opponent have the ability to see through stealth like a lot on your team? On their team, it's like, then if yes, then you need to hit the Remaker. If your opponent is, a bunch of, Battle Fury, then yeah, you might want to put on the Nightbringer to avoid, the ranged attacks coming towards you. Definitely, if you're going against Ultra Chase Thanos, Nightbringer is better because Ultra Chase Thanos can't perplex you down and take away your power cosmic and then outwit some of your core elements. So, like I said, you need to know like what are you doing and why it's important. So yeah, I've already explained the Storm ID. Iceman, you could call an Iceman at 100. I think Iceman at 100 for most setups will get you the biggest bang for your buck. Yeah, that's the best way I can say it. You're getting an outwit, you're getting a 12 attack, you're getting a 3 damage. He's going to come in, he's going to, finish off some things. So it's pretty good. All right, so is this team probably, is this team a good team? Yes, I would rank it as like a B plus, having played it and looking, at what I was dealing with. Could it have gone further? No, I don't think. If I went against some of the other teams, that I would have gone a lot farther. I know I definitely wouldn't have won the event, mainly because the team that gave me the biggest amount of troubles was in the finals. So let's go ahead and break down what are some of the more popular things, or really the stronger things in the gamescape right now, and why that matters. Okay, so out of the new set, you're going to see a lot of Steve teams. You're going to see a lot of Steve Rogers. And I would definitely implore everybody to look at every figure that is 50 points or less and start thinking about how would an Avengers team utilize that figure. Because I'll admit it, like I've looked at, hey, what would happen if Tri-Sentinel was an Avenger? It's a thought. What happened if Surtur was an Avenger? What would happen? Isaac. I even played against Isaac as an Avenger. Unfortunately, it was a younger player, so he didn't fully maximize it. But there's that thought as well. Like, what happens if Isaac is an Avenger? And a lot of people said, man, no, it sucks, blah, 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 blah. But, truth be told, it is something, for us to look at, because now you can stack in a ton of pogs. with your other offense. And you can even have those stacked up with Iron Avengers and any other power generation that you have in Avengers. And what happens then is more of my thought. You know, so that's something to consider as well. But yeah, just be on the lookout for Steve teams. Vulture is still out there, and being honest, I think everyone's starting to understand this. Steve Rogers is the strongest with Shield so far, and not with Avengers. So welcoming Vulture to Shield is really strong because you have Kobik. There's cool things that you can do with that. You know, so I would definitely encourage everyone take a time, look at Steve Rogers, look at what he can do, look at some of the options that he can bring in, look at the Shield options, look at the Avengers options, and start like graphing out like these are the more viable pieces. What is the team going to do with this? Can my team handle that? And I think that becomes a big deal. Next up, I'll have to say Astronomer. I still believe Astronomer is a top tier fig. Double Astronomer builds, whether it's cosmic or not cosmic, is worth looking at. Astronomer is probably one of the best backups I feel like you can get for a good chunk of your teams. So I would definitely encourage you all to look at Astronomer. Next up on my list is a figure that after looking at these rounds of WKOs, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a problem. And it's Captain Marvel. And I know some of you are going to be like, really, Captain Marvel? And I'm like, yeah, Captain Marvel. And the main reason Captain Marvel is going to become a major problem is for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, hypersonic speed. She could just run through you and then make her attack wherever and then run away. The fact that she doesn't stop, against characters for any reason other than plasticity is going to be a problem for a majority of teams. So you have Captain Marvel, and she's hypersonicking around at 95 points. And she has 2 stop clicks. She has prob. And she has the Chewy Pog. And the Chewy Pog is only exacerbating the problems with Captain Marvel because at 95 points, she's going to hypersonic speed attack you and then drop the Chewy Pog. And the Chewy Pog is going to, Blaze Claws Fangs you. And with Flurry. So, and it has Perplex. So either Captain Marvel's going to get the benefit of that Perplex or Chewy's going to have an 11 attack. So the damage output that Captain Marvel as a figure can do is extremely high. And if anyone overlooks that, there's a problem. Now, I've heard some people say, like, play Captain Marvel with the Soul Gem. I can understand that. I don't necessarily agree with that. And I know some people be like, well, why is that, Edward? And the main reason I would argue is that she needs either Remaker or Nightbringer just so that she can get a level of defense on her because the only thing that she has protecting herself is prob up front at 95 points. So, yeah, I definitely would tell you look real close at that because we go into things that just mess with Q. Captain Marvel is one of those things. Okay. You want to talk about those things that mess with Black Panther. Captain Marvel is one of those things. my opponent, all they really had to do is run past Black Panther until he hit Invincible, and then try to make shots on Black Panther until you land a shot. All the rollouts get burnt. The shot is land. Boom. Black Panther's dead. You don't have enough survivability. So I would argue, Invincible becomes a lot more valuable with Captain Marvel in the meta. And I also would say plasticity also becomes a lot more powerful with Captain Marvel in the meta. I think it's something for us to legitimately think about. All right, next up is Immortal Hulk. And I'm going to touch on Immortal Hulk, and I want to make it clear. I'm not just picking this up because Team Phoenix Nest, screw, Scott Crampton. That's not it at all. I'm bringing this up primarily because I think this is Immortal Hulk is a design problem. He realistically is a design problem, and the pure fact that WizKids thought that this was a good idea to have a character design like this be so cheap is a problem. And then not also understand that you have a game with ID characters and you are functionally making it so a don't die character or a hard to kill character is able to just spam IDs without problems. And I think that's the issue. From all the Immortal Hulk games that I've seen and played against, because I did play against one of Mike SQ. And it goes like this. Immortal Hulk gets forward placed. There's tons of options with Immortal Hulk. You can go Exospecs, you can go Symbiote, you can go Remaker, you can go Impact. Is it Influence? Influence, the one that knocks you back into a wall or whatever. There's so many options in terms of equipment that you can do with Immortal Hulk. You're not necessarily restricted. Okay. And so when you look at everything that he can do, you're going to try to stack up the number of characters on your team pretty high so that you could get as many ID cards as possible. So you're trying to be functional while also getting a high body count on your team. Because in every game that I play tested against Immortal Hulk and then I've seen with Immortal Hulk, the last figure on the map is Immortal Hulk. Everything else on the team is dead. Everyone ignores Immortal Hulk because of the way the time works and the way the scoring works. You could try to kill Immortal Hulk and waste so much time doing it, it's not worth it. Or you could just go kill everything else and dodge Immortal Hulk. But the problem, the way they designed Immortal Hulk, is when he's aggressively placed, he can easily start just attacking your force with no consequence. Okay? With no consequence. Then, even more so, he can start calling in IDs to just mess with your force and make you just have a bad day. So my resolution, and this is what I'm sort of telling everybody and how to solve for Immortal Hulk, is barrier. Just cage him. Because that's the only thing that you can do to make sure that he doesn't have line of fire to other characters, to make sure that he is not able to charge away. And also, for a lack of a better word, You just make your opponent have to spend unwanted actions to get Immortal Hulk into the game. Now, the best person to do this right now, or the best combination I can see right now, is the Lord Gaiapog. So you're either running Isaac and another main force barrier, or you're running double Jason Wingard. And I know for some of the double Jason Wingard players, like, oh look, I got Gaia, Lord Gaia, I'm gonna protect myself. I'm like, yeah, you can, but you probably just want to cage Hulk. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the state. Come on, there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and look at all our cheap barrier. So we're looking at any keyword less than 50 points, and we're looking for barrier. I think the cheapest one is going to be green. Does Green Lantern have barrier? Okay. I thought Trouble Alert Green Lantern had barrier. He does. Okay. So Trouble Alert Green Lantern has barrier. Yep. So that right there is probably going to be like your best place to start. So 2 of those are 60 points. You can go Justice League, Green Lantern Corps, or Super Friends. I would recommend Justice League. And 2 Green Lanterns are probably going to be your best bet. And they should be a lot cheaper right now. Let's see. Nightshade. She's good. From Harley Quinn and Gotham Girls. Then there is... no, not Raven. Let's see. Rusty at 40 points. So that's from X-Men Xavier School. We have Clara Pratt. She's 40 points. She's plasticity, poison, barrier, and shape change. So she's pretty good. Only problem is she has past and runaways keyword. If you're going to push, I would say aim Blue Squad. But I don't feel too good about that. Let's see. Maria Hill, 45 points. Stealth, approve, blah, 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 blah. Welcome to Pleasant Hill, mind control. But once per turn, when a friendly character uses mind control that hasn't been damaged to target character that has been damaged this turn after resolution, that target character can't make attacks or be attacked until your next turn. Here we go. Maria Hill actually might be a stronger figure combined with the Liar Ring with another character more so than anything else. So let's look at Welcome to Pleasant Hill. This actually might be our way of dealing with Hulk right now. Mind control. Once per turn, when a friendly character uses mind control to target a character that hasn't been damaged this turn, you're not targeting Hulk. Okay, you're not attacking Hulk. All right. Never mind. So the problem is Hulk has Battle Fury. So the only way that you're going to get this off is if Hulk is on his first click. And then I think after this goes off the first time, the Hulk player is constantly going to make sure that they're not going to be on that click. So I think this might not be our Hulk solution. But Maria's Hills, Welcome to Pleasant Hill. Let me finish reading. Mind control. Once per turn, when a friendly character uses mind control to target a character that hasn't been damaged this turn, after resolution, that targeted character can't make attacks or be attacked until your next turn unless it's the only character on its force. So this actually can be strong for everything but the Hulk because, again, you have Jason, you have the Liar Ring, you know, um, yeah, it actually can be pretty good. Yeah. So overall, yeah. So I think, again, I feel like this problem that we're coming into, yeah, yeah, is that you can. The only thing I can see as an option is try to cage Hulk. Just try to cage Hulk. If you can't cage Hulk, then what needs to occur is you need a way of just mitigating his chaos. All right, and there's two hard problems with that. The first hard problem with that is when you try to get Immortal Hulk uh, into how can I put it? When you try to restrict what Immortal Hulk can go after, he will just kill everything else, and then he'll eventually come back to you. And I think that's the best way to play Immortal Hulk. And he is so hard to deal with right now. I'm not going to say he's unstoppable, but I am going to say is that this figure, any teams built with him, automatically go into top tier competitive. Okay, any team built with him, yeah, goes into top tier competitive. And that is a huge problem that I see with the figure. It's the same problem that I saw with Unimind. You know, after I wasn't wrong about Unimind, is that if functionally any character that is built with this figure is top tier, or any team built with this figure is top tier, then that figure needs to get nerfed. Like, it just does. And I think anybody that's like, hey, saying like, oh no, Immortal Hulk's fine. I'm like, I'm sorry, no, Immortal Hulk is not fine. Immortal Hulk is an imbalanced figure. And I know some of you are like, Edward, you know, you're going in too hard, you're being too paranoid, you know, come on, guy. You know, you should. He's okay. He's not broken. And I'm like, no, he's broken. He's definitely broken. So where do I let's see what other characters that right now I feel like you need to be mindful of. All right, so I'm gonna keep going, and I'm going. I'm gonna say this. I a majority of the stuff that I feel that was good previously is still good now. So let's just say you had that Undying team that you like to play. It's still decently good. Did you have that? What was it? Kobik classic. I hate to say classic. You had the Cosmic Kobik team. It's still good. You know, did you have a monster team? It's still good. I don't think anything got eliminated off of the field in with the current state of things. The only thing that happened was that we had more teams get added to the pool. Unfortunately, I think Immortal Hulk is just going to prove to be too much to deal with for the point economy. Yeah, it's just too much to deal with for the point economy. So Moonstone, I saw a team with Moonstone and I was quite impressed because I did not know, or better yet, I wasn't paying attention. I think is Kobik is a Thunderbolt. Yeah, Kobik is a Thunderbolt. So when you start looking at that, it's like, oh wow, there's some cool things I can do here. So yeah, I think in particular, if you are running a Pog dependent team, I think your time is running out. Which also means that figures that are anti Pog, you really won't ever, they won't really ever have their day in the sun, like Dawnbreaker. Okay. Dawnbreaker's cool and all, but I don't think that we're at a point where we're depending on Pogs like the meta was like 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. So because of that, uh, I would make the argument that if you're looking to sort of narrow down like what you want to play going into states, I would just say whatever it is, you need to be able to solve for Hulk. That's number one. Number two, I would say is you need to be able to solve for Wendigos and Colossal Retail. And I last but not least, I would make the argument is you need to have a multitude of damage options. I would make the argument that I do not believe having just a melee damage option is a good idea. Or let me phrase it, just having a ranged option is a good idea. You would need a melee option as well. And I would also say it's like it would also be good to have something that's a very mobile attacker. Hypersonic speed and charge for one are key just because of the maps. With Ancient Hold being a very, very strong map, being able to just put up more barrier, being able to go through the doors and make an attack and then dip out, it's very strong. It's very useful. So I would just say it's like there's a lot of stuff that we need to just take a moment, look at it, and start to expand our ideas on what's possible. I'm going to, since I had one swipe against Scott Crampton on Immortal Hulk, I'll give one towards Scott Crampton. Theme teams aren't mandatory. So this thought really more so came up because of my last weekend. Having a +5 theme very rarely helped me. And I would say that my team was really effective. Now, could I have had a better team, off theme? More than likely, yes. Could I have had a lot more elements that would have assisted me in some of my games and allowed me to win those games that I lost? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Okay. What I do know is looking back, did I need to be cosmic? And the answer is no. I didn't need to be cosmic. I wanted to be cosmic. Okay. Did I need to have double Dark Phoenix? No, I could have had one Dark Phoenix. Is there any other options that I could have played that would have suited me better? Could I have gotten the leadership? Could I got a Pog generator? All these other things start coming in, and you start to realize, like, look, I could just be good on any map and then adjust my style of play. And if I do that, then I am going to be in a better position. And I think that's where it becomes a huge deal, um, because now I'm able to realize, like, okay, if I have all the elements that I need, does it really matter that my opponent gets mad? And even more so is if I'm not dependent on getting objects. Okay, does it matter that I get map? And if the answer is no, my team doesn't depend on objects, or even more so, I'm building teams without relics, or yeah, without relics in special objects, then you're looking at, in my opinion, a stronger built team, or even figures that already come pre-equipped with the objects. You just considering those things as well. So I just have to say, like, is team building in a good spot right now? And I would argue yes. Team building is really open ended right now. At the same time, I would argue you really need to be testing against high durability figures like Immortal Hulk, and Captain Marvel, and figure out, can you actually deal with those figures. Uh, I I'm looking at this set at Captain America, and my concern after competing in WKOs, my concern about Captain America and it being like Rebirth is starting to become more and more reality. I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, this is not good. This is not good. Because if I'm looking through this list, and I'm being 100% honest, I'm looking through this list, and I can say who is going to get played and who is getting played. So right now, all of never mind. I've seen the Sharon Carter. Okay, so let's click this off. Sharon Carter. Okay. Keep going. I haven't seen any uncommon played. I have not seen Moonstone. Okay, I've seen in Moonstone played, and Spider-Man, and Captain Marvel, Immortal Hulk, seen Mandarin, Songbird, Machine Smith, but really only for the Pog. And Ultron. And Peggy Carter. All right, so out of all the figures in this set, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 figures I've seen in meta play, or even have meta play potential. And out of all of those 10 figures, one is uncommon. No, one's a common. One's a rare. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. 5, 6. 6 are super rares. One is a chase, and one is an ultra chase. That's sort of disheartening, and it's something to think about, because again, the game is skewing everything towards the higher rarities. So, yeah, but those are my thoughts. I think the build philosophy. I think the build philosophies are starting to change. I think people are just going to be like, do I have 3 or 4 game elements that share a keyword? okay, are these my core elements? I'm going to stick with theme. If you have something and it's hard to build with theme, but you believe in the figure and what it can do, then yeah, you're just dropping all of the silliness pretext and you're going off theme, and then you're just trying to tweak it so that you can just deal with the most amount of maps and most amount of teams possible. I think that's a legit decision that you have to make. If you're object dependent, then you need to go on theme. If your opponent can blow up all your objects turn one, and those were just icing on the cake and point filler, then you're fine. You can go off theme. So I would just say it's like there's a lot for us to unpack. I think that's sort of the state of the game right now. I don't think, and like I said before, I don't think the game is in a bad place. I just think that Immortal Hulk has to be dealt with. Like, it's just too strong. It does too much. It has to get errated. At least make it so his first KO gives you 50 points instead of 25. I would say that's a minimum. So, all right. That's it for today's show. I'd like to thank you all for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me, your Immortal Hulk arrives today. Check your door. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I try to keep the shows posted up on Twitter. I try my best. Sometimes YouTube tells me it goes to Twitter. Sometimes it doesn't. Then you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. Let me know what you think of my teams. And you can donate to the show going over to startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. On there is the PayPal link, and everything you donate goes straight to the show. I'd like to thank you all for listening, and remember, we all have to start